It's time for Chicagoland Golf with the editor and publisher of Chicagoland Golf magazine, Phil Kosin. The show where for the next 2 hours, you'll get the latest info from the PGA Tour, local tournaments, and tips for your golf game. And now, your host, Phil Kosin.
This is the kind of music we used to play at the family picnics. We have on the same table in the Forest Preserve that they had the keg of beer or the skopek with the ice and the beer in it. There was always a radio there turned to one of the Polish radio stations. Good morning, everybody, and welcome into a holiday weekend at the Score. Memorial Day. Man, where is this year going? Do you realize, Dave White, that in a little over 3 weeks, the days are going to start getting shorter?
Don't tell me that.
Well, isn't June 21st the magic day?
I think I finally just put my winter coat away. This has been ridiculous.
What it is, the equinox or whatever?
Yeah.
So, I hear you have to work this weekend on a holiday.
Yes. Big surprise, right?
Yeah, well, somebody's got to entertain the great unwashed millions of people in the Midwest, and I guess that's us. Now, we're going to have some fun today. Where this show's going to go, I have no idea. During the second half of the show, though, we'll have one of the all-time great guests on, Len Ziem of the Chicago Sun-Times. Len, of course, the author of the moderately popular book, How I Knocked Off 21 Strokes from My 9-Hole Score in One Day. We'll talk to him about that later. Yeah, occasion, I like having Lenny on because he is the dean of Chicago golf writers. And Lenny epitomizes, in my opinion anyway, what the average golfer is. And we'll tell that story. I don't know if I'll tell it or I'll let him tell it about, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, about the day we played all 5 Chicago Park District 9-hole courses. All in one day. And the reason I remember it is because it was right around the 21st of June when we have, the longest day of the year, somewhere in that range. And so Kemper, a couple times, 3 times maybe, scheduled a trip like that. They got us a bus and took, some PR people from Kemper and a number of golf writers to make up 2 foursomes. And they had it all scheduled. Of course, it was a promotional stunt, and a fun one, I might add, going from one place to the other. We started out at, got balls in the air just before 5 o'clock a.m. at Waveland. I'm not going to call it, it's got another name on it, Sidney R. Maravitz, but I just can't call it that. It's Waveland. I don't like when they put politicians' names on golf courses. But we started out at Waveland, the poor man's Pebble Beach along Lake Michigan at just before 5 o'clock in the morning. So you could understand what time those of us that live out here in the suburbs had to get up and go down there to get ready for that. The Kemper folks moved all our cars from there to Robert A. Black, I believe, each time, because that's where we ended up. And so we went from Waveland, and then the little bus went down south to South Shore, and then we went to Marquette Park, and then up to Columbus Park, and then back to Robert A. Black. And it's an interesting story what Lenny's first score of the day was, which was higher than typical, but not that much for his shooting. And then what he did in that last round was just astounding. I mean, it was every once in a while in life or in athletics, you see one of those out-of-body experiences. Unfortunately, too often, for me anyway, it's been somebody else having it. But he had an out-of-body experience at Columbus Park before we got to Rock. No, I think we finished at Columbus Park that year. But he had an out-of-body experience at Columbus Park, and it's a round of golf he'll never, ever forget as long as he lives. So we'll talk about that with him. And the occasion I like to have Lenny on is because he's been covering golf in the Chicago area for 36 years. And as you all know, this is we're going into the week starting Monday with the one professional tour stop in the Chicago area that we're going to have all year. The Bank of America Open at the Glen Club up in Glenview. $10, you buy a ticket, you can go every day. Kids are under 16 as long as they're accompanied by a paid adult, free. And it'll be a pretty good show. You get to see Colt Knost. This guy's pretty much a lock to be a big star on the PGA Tour. Won the U.S. Amateur and the Public Links last year. Colt is heading up the field there. And if you go there on Saturday, May 31st, next Saturday, you can sing happy birthday to Gary Hallberg from Barrington because it's his 50th birthday, and right after that, he's going to put his bait, line, hook, and bobber in the pond, what is known as the Champions Tour, and see what he can get himself out of that. So, Lenny and I will talk about that. We'll cover a lot of things. We'll cover Annika's retirement. Congratulations to Jeff Sluman and Jay Haas. They're both doing really well at the Senior PGA Championship at Oak Hill. That should be some good TV watching this week. I tried watching some of the Colonial yesterday, and it put me to sleep. The Golf Channel is just awful. God. Okay, we have an interest. This guy is. I've known him. Full disclosure, I've known him. But they're running an ad in Chicagoland Golf that I think is really interesting. And of course, we turn on the news, and all we hear about is $4 a gallon, $4.11 a gallon, and all this other stuff. And one of the things that one of the groups of golf courses that are in our listening area and in the Chicagoland golf coverage area that really stand to be hurt are the golf courses on the periphery who were a pretty good deal because their green fees were lower. Obviously, the real estate taxes 50, 60, 70 miles west of Chicago are a lot cheaper than they are closer into the city, so the green fees are cheaper. The golf is pretty good. They're not often as crowded, but you have to drive a little bit extra to get out to these courses. And this one's in South Bend, and they count on a lot of their play coming out of the Chicago area. And so let's find out what kind of a promotion Rick Reed, their general manager, is doing. Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys.
Hi, guy. It's me, solo. Dave White. We're working. We're holding down this 50,000-watt radio station for the whole weekend. For 2 hours anyway. Okay, so you've got a promotion going. Let me get this straight. You're giving away free gas to people that come from Illinois to play Blackthorn in South Bend.
That's right. What we've done is put a little program together. We're going to run it all year. Anybody that drives from Illinois or Lake and Porter County in northwest Indiana, you come on over to Blackthorn, you show us where you live, and with your driver's license, and we're going to give you a $30 gas card. So you're not going to have to worry about that tank of gas coming to Blackthorn. We're going to pay for your gas, and you're going to enjoy a great day of golf in South Bend on Blackthorn, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of Chicago people this year.
How are you going to validate this?
We're going to validate it. People come on over with a foursome, and they're going to show us their Illinois driver's license, and bring the ad from the newspaper, and we're going to give them the gas card, and it's going to be pretty simple, pretty cut and dry, and we're looking forward to it.
What you guys? What percentage-wise? And I know what Kohler. I can generalize and say that the courses at Kohler, Whistling Straits, all those courses in that complex up there, Eagle Ridge and Galena, Weaver Ridge down in Peoria, they got a big percentage of their play, like Blackthorn does from the Chicago area. Have you nailed it down to what percentage? Do they have an idea what percentage of the play you get there in South Bend comes from Illinois, the Illinois side of the border?
Yeah, we get probably close to about 20-25% of our plays comes from Chicago. During Northern football season, it goes up to about 50 to 60%. But we get a lot of traffic from Chicago. We always have. We've always really had to try to have a presence in that market, and we feel we like to, we're more affordable golf course just down the turnpike and the toll road, and now you don't have to worry about your gas prices, skyrocketing. You can still come enjoy a great day of golf in Indiana, and we're looking forward to the promotion. We're already hearing a lot of things about it, so it's going really good.
Yeah, I'm sure other people are going to do it. The reason you're on this show is because you're the first. And so I thought it was kind of neat. You know, I'm listening the last couple days to all these stories on the national news, the local news. Gas is $4.11. It could go to $5. You know, all these dreary reports. And I've been talking to a lot of golfers, and right now a lot of them say they're not going to change their plans on how many times they're going to play. They're going to change where they play, though. You know, they're not going to spend a lot of time driving, you know, because especially if you've got four guys in an SUV or something like that, you're looking at 14 miles to a gallon, maybe 15 miles to a gallon. But these goofy times, nobody really knows how it's going to shake out, because pretty much throughout the years, I don't know what's going to happen this year, from this kind of an economy, the golf business has been pretty much bulletproof, pretty much, as far as golf courses go. What have you been seeing over there?
Yeah, it's about the same thing. You know, the economy, it's a tough thing right now for everybody. The housing market's a little bit down. You know, we're just trying to think outside the box, give people no reason not to come play Blackthorn in South Bend. I mean, I think that's our biggest reason that people may not come on over here, because of the filling up a tank of gas, and so we're going to give them an extra incentive not to worry about that. And you know, we're just trying to be proactive instead of reactive. We see what's going on in the economy and in the world today with gas prices, and so we're just trying to stay one step ahead of the competition and think outside the box, and hopefully people appreciate we did it first, and they'll come and enjoy the day in South Bend.
Okay. Do you absolutely have to bring the ad with you?
No, I mean, you call.
Or will you? What's that? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can call, and you know, we love to track and make sure we, you know, who's all, you know, coming, you know, you looking and finding it out of the Chicagoland Golf paper. But obviously, just come on in, have a force and tell, you know, just mention you saw the ad, and really all you need is an Illinois driver's license to show us that you drove on in from Chicago with four guys.
Yeah, I just want to make it fair so nobody says, well, you're putting your advertisers on, because I don't do that, and I've never done that in 15 years.
Right.
So if they just mention it, they say, I heard it on the show, or they ask for it, they can get it. It's not something that you're going to advertise when they walk in. They've had to heard about it, seen it, something somewhere else.
Exactly. We're not advertising this local at all, because this is only a Chicago, Northwest Indiana promotion.
Cool. Okay. What's the phone number, and tell us what your tee sheet looks like for the 3-day holiday weekend?
Phone number is 574-232-GOLF. That's 574-232-4653. And the holiday weekend's filling up nice. We finally got some great warm weather. That's been the biggest challenge so far this year. And the course in great shape. We just got done hosting the Hooters Tour event about 2 weeks ago, and we're looking for a great warm summer and a lot of golf from Chicago. So come on out and play.
What are the green fees this weekend?
The green fee is $77 on Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, and Memorial Day, and that includes a cart. We have some midday rates that start at noon, and then our twilight rates start at 3, so the rates will go down. And it doesn't matter when you play. You can play early bird Monday through Thursday. We have an early bird special. Anytime you play, any day of the week, we're going to give you a $30 gas card. You coming from Chicago?
All right. Can't beat that. Hey, thanks, Rick. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Okay, that's Rick Reed, the general manager at Blackthorn in South Bend. Great course. Dr. Michael Herdzon, if you're into the architecture thing, it really, really smacks of an Irish upland links course. What a surprise. Their course logo is the silhouette of a leprechaun. And they actually have 19 holes there. Well, last time I played there, they did. They have what they refer to as the Blarney hole, which is like I think it's a par 3, and you start out on that, then you start playing, which is interesting, and we're going to take a break here. But it's interesting because, to me, golf is the only sport that I can think of where you don't get on the field of play until the game starts. I mean, every other sport, football, basketball, baseball, the warm-up is on the field of play itself, but not golf. I don't know if you've ever thought about that. And it's kind of neat, because how many times would we like to just throw the first hole out and count the other 17, you know? Well, you can do that at Blackthorn. All right, 6:15 in Chicago on a holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day. Phil Kosin, the Chicagoland Golf Show on the Score, Sports Radio 670. Let Illinois Paper and Copier buy out your current lease and save you money with Ricoh or Konica Minolta Copiers. Call Christy at 630-679-9090. 623 out of Chicago if you've got a tea time. Boy, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, it's about time, isn't it? I mean, my wife and I always talk about this. And of course everybody else does too. This is not an original thought. We talk about it. We don't have spring in Chicago. We go right from winter into the heat and humidity, and so this is going to be kind of like a really good spring weekend, and everybody's been queuing up, and I hope all the golf courses do well, and Channel 7, they're running the economy, because of the economy and food prices, a lot of barbecues are going to be less than what they normally are. What kind of a story is that?
That's your typical weekend filler story, is what it is. Almost.
Excuse me, but most of the stuff that people throw on a barbecue grill, those are not exactly the primo cuts of meat. I mean, it's not like you're doing filet mignon encrusted with breadcrumbs and horseradish, or blue cheese. People, it's interesting, we were talking about the gas price thing with Rick Reed over at Blackthorn and how they're doing a promotion. I'm sure others will follow, especially if it works for them. And gas prices are a factor. But one of the reasons, you may hear stories, you may read stories written by people who don't know what they're talking about how, golf courses are really hurting this summer and everything. Yeah, they're all going to be hurting. We're all going to be hurting with this. We're all in it together. But the price of gas isn't going to have all that much to do if there's a downturn in the number of rounds played this summer. You know what it is? It's a continuation of what started here a few years ago, in that we've built too many golf courses. And that's a big part of it. Now, the golf courses themselves, the golf course industry, did not do a damn thing over the last 15 years to create new players. So, we're building all these new courses, and how many courses? You can count them on one hand. How many courses can you think of that have had some sort of an entree program, a beginner program, to bring new people into the game and teach them how to play? They have that no embarrassment golf school over at Cog Hill. I'll take credit for that. That was my idea. I came up with that almost 20 years ago. And they've run with it. Because you know what? Almost 20 years ago, when we started building all these golf courses, you can look it up in Chicagoland Golf, in the back issues. I saw this coming. I knew that we were going to, because golf was everybody saw golf as a sport wrapped in money. It was just, the money was flowing to the sport. All the media was writing about, new golf course here, new golf course there. There was no control, and there can't be, because it's a free market economy. Anybody can build a golf course. There's no guarantee you're going to get players. So what happened here in the Chicago area, like it happened everywhere else in the country just about, so we built too many golf courses. And so what happened is, the first thing we started seeing was the players at the established golf courses started moving, and they became regulars at the new courses. So that diminished play at the older courses. But there was still enough demand for play to where we didn't really see it until about the late 90s. And we kept building and building and building. And we opened up 14, 15 new golf courses in the Chicago market for 7 or 8 years in a row, which 15 courses, let's say 35,000 rounds a year, we're talking about what? 550,000 rounds of golf. If you don't increase the number of golfers, supply and demand. It's 6:28 in Chicago. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. I'm Phil Kosin. It's a holiday weekend. This is CBS Radio, Chicago, The Score. .33 in Chicago. If you've got a 7 o'clock tee time, you have 27 minutes to get your buttocks to the first tee. I'm going to read this next read, Dave. I'm going to read this in my pickup truck commercial announcer's voice. This segment on The Score is brought to you by the DQ Hot Dog of the Week. Win a Dairy Queen gift card. Log on to 670thescore.com for the DQ Hot Dog of the Week info.
Was that truck driver voice, or was that like...
No, you ever watch those pickup truck commercials on TV?
Oh, yeah.
They never have a guy on there talks like, get yourself a Toyota, whatever it is. You know, it's a real... No, did you ever notice that, though? It's guys that sound like they've, gargled ground glass. Yeah, because it's more manly.
I was going to say you sounded like a pro wrestling announcer or something like that, too. Like you're promoting the event at the amphitheater this weekend or something.
It's a voice I'm still It's a voice I'm still working on, you know? But, the best part was, every year when it's really bad to have to do this show seasonally because, I spend the whole month of March getting ready and get myself ready to go back on the radio because with everything, you got to get back into the swing of things. The whole month of March, it's like I said, spend a lot of time working, the things that are necessary to do a radio show, the fake laugh,
You practice that on your wife, right?
Well, No, leave her out of this, okay? I ain't going to pull a Barack Obama here. No. Did you ever, once you're aware of it, especially like during the TV news program, the fake laugh is something that, I don't know where it came from in broadcasting, but you got to have, there's a lot of different kinds of fake laughs. There's the one like, while you're talking, we've got a great segment coming, and you practice this stuff. And I just remember once that, I don't know what it was, Gian Greco on the ABC News, which I watch quite often. He had some, how he always finishes off with maybe a silly replay or something of some fan like picking his nose or something. Well, anyway, he had one of those both during the hunk that he does between 4 and 6, and then also again at 10 o'clock. And most of the anchor people and the weather person were the same for both shows, and they both laughed. They laughed again at it at 10 o'clock like it was the first time they heard it, 10 p.m. And that's what you have to do in broadcasting is you have to do things like that. So anyway, all right, we're off the track. We're off the track here. And that was a real laugh there. I don't know. Man, maybe it was fake. Anyway, it's 6:36 in Chicago, and we're going to find out about a brand new place, or relatively new. Anyway, it's new to me, and it's a new concept. It's called Topgolf. And I guess there's 3 of them that have been built nationally, and we have one right here in Wooddale, Illinois. And to tell us about it is their general manager, Mark Castor. Hi, Mark. Welcome into the Score. Good morning.
Good morning, Phil. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay. Tell us about Topgolf. And as I told you yesterday when we did a little pre-interview, it's going to be tough because you're going to have to paint a picture in people's minds because we're on the radio. It's like the old radio serials with the sound effects, except you can't even use sound effects. So try to describe the best you can what Topgolf is to our listening audience.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Basically, Topgolf is similar to a driving range, but it's much more than a driving range. The way it works, I guess the best way to describe it would be it's a combination of golf, darts, and bowling. There are 11 targets out on the fairway that you hit to, and each ball has a computer chip inside it. And when the ball goes into the target, you get a read on that ball, and you get a score and a readout of where it went on a flat screen TV that is at your bay. Now, the other thing about Topgolf that's different is that up to 5 people can play at one bay, so it's a social activity such as bowling. Now, the way it all works is when you walk in the door, you get a playing card, and all your information is put on this playing card. And then you'll walk out to the dispenser, and as you dispense the balls, Phil, each ball gets your name put on it. And then when you go to your bay, that's how it keeps track of everything that you're doing.
Now, is this part of the chip? You have, a read-only memory chip in there, or you have a programmable chip, or what?
Basically, it's being programmed each time it's used. When you go and use the golf ball, it puts your name on the golf ball. You hit it. It goes into a target. It gives you a readout. You've got, like I said, you've got the flat screen at your bay. And then the next time it's used, when it's dispensed again, it's going to put the next person's name on that chip. But I could actually scan the golf ball and find out how many times it's been hit and know that you hit it 3 weeks ago and then maybe Bill Smith hit it yesterday.
All right, so the one advantage you have over all the other ranges in Chicago is you have some sort of a scanner near the door, don't you, Mark? And anybody that tries to walk out with a golf ball sets off an alarm, don't they?
Well, actually, we don't have that part of it yet, but we've talked about putting a scanner in so if there's golf balls in the bag that we would know. I should have said yes, and the balls wouldn't leave, but actually, the way it works is the only place that they do get scanned is if they do go into a target, and that's where they get read. And there's different compartments in each target, and the closer you get to the center of the target, the more points you get. And there's like 5 different games that you can play. And the targets reward you points based on how far away the targets are and how close you hit it to the pin.
Okay, let me, I'm looking at the website, which is topgolf.com, and I see a picture, so here's how I could describe it to the listeners. You hit golf balls off of a mat. I'm sure it's very realistic. And instead of hitting to greens, you have areas that look like what I would describe as a flat dartboard. And in the middle is a flag. And so whatever little section of that dartboard your ball lands in, it's probably collected and then electronically read, and it gives you points. Am I correct?
Exactly. That's what it does.
There you go. Okay. All right, so when did you guys, first of all, where are you guys at and when did this open?
Okay, we're located right next to Salt Creek Golf Club in Wooddale. We're on Thorndale Avenue, 699 West Thorndale. And that's about 1.5 miles east of the 290 extension on Thorndale Avenue. We opened last October. We didn't have the best winter in Chicago for us. We're working on our winterization techniques, but we'll be ready to go when it happens again. But now everything's full bore. We're running at 100%, and it's the biggest thing about Topgolf is the entertainment. I mean, it's when you get people out there, you'll get 4 or 5 people at a bay that are playing, and the one nice thing that we do is we serve you drinks, we serve you food right to your bay. So the experience is, I mean, you're in your own fortress.
It is like bowling, isn't it?
Oh, it's exactly like bowling. I mean,
but you see, you can bowl with a high ball in one hand, right? But with this, you got to have both hands on the club.
You've got to set it down. Well, unless you can hit one-handed, you've got to set it down. But normally, the normal game is 20 balls. And what happens is if we were in a group together, you would hit 5 balls while I sat and had a drink of my beer or whatever beverage was there. And then after your 5 shots, I would go up and hit my 5 shots, and then we keep rotating. And like I said, if you get 4 or 5 guys, it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour to play a game. And but the nice thing is there's nobody behind you hitting into you. There's nobody that you have to wait on. It's at your leisure. You've got your bay, and you're playing your game.
And so all over the place you have signs that say no gambling allowed, right?
Whatever the customers want to do, they can do.
I know.
Want to see it.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad idea, but I could see I can't believe 5 friends would go there and have a few beers to hit golf balls during the winter. Now, this is indoor or outdoor?
No, this is outdoor. Just like it's 300 yards long.
How do you keep the golfers warm during the winter?
Well, now, what we're doing is we're putting up windscreens, and we do have heaters. Our windscreens didn't go up until late this year, but they will be up all next year. So, I mean, you can go winter, you can go summer. I mean, ideally, if it's 80 degrees, it's also a great place to be there at 8 o'clock at night. You know, you can't golf once it gets dark, but
sure.
It's a great place to have fun, but a lot of what we do is families. And one of the main things...
You provide the clubs? Do you provide clubs?
Yes, we have clubs.
Okay.
Callaway provides the clubs to us, and our clubs are either Hogan or else Top Flight or Callaway themselves.
Gratuitous references.
Okay, shameless plug.
No, I have no control over that ballot. It's automatic. No, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, the clubs are there, and we don't charge for the clubs. So and one thing about Topgolf is you will find that there are a lot of what we would call a non-golfer that comes to Topgolf.
Sure. Yeah,
and they can have a lot
of
fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's not intimidating like the golf course. So it's a lot of fun for somebody who maybe plays once a year or even not at all to come out. It's amazing when you see that for somebody that hasn't golfed, hit it in the target, and they run back to the flat screen to see how many points they got. And the main thing is kids. kids love this because kids, the technology age, they're into this stuff, and the kids will run back right away to the flat screen to see how many points they got when they knock it in the target. So we do get a lot of families, especially on the weekends.
So what it does is it provides entertainment for, like years ago, and this is going way back, where they used to have, instead of driving ranges, they had places with cars out there and big signs and lit up on Saturday night. You take your honey there and go to the Stop and Sock and hit golf balls with one of those metal-headed clubs, and just to see if you could muscle one over the fence. That was a form of entertainment. This is kind of the same thing, where a bunch of people can either play miniature golf, you don't have to have a lot of skill to enjoy it, and also there could be some betting, and it's another way. I think that what looks to me like what would make it the best, although if you go in a rotation like that, and you may end up having a need for it if you haven't seen it already, whereas a guy just wants to go and have add another dimension to his practice.
Oh, and
where a guy might want to just buy a bucket of your balls and just go there and hit them one after another just to work on his touch.
Yes, and that's part of it too. The one thing that people don't realize when they do practice here is they're actually honing their game without realizing it, because you're aiming at a target where, like you talked about the Stop and Sock, it was just hit it as hard as you can and see where it flies. And the old saying is, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Well, out here, you've got 11 targets. There's 11 greens out there. And so you're actually aiming each time, and you're getting feedback on every ball. And we do bucket specials during the week, and even on the weekday mornings, where it's anywhere from $12 to $15 for a bucket of 100 balls, and you're getting feedback on every one of those balls, provided you hit it into a target. You have to hit it into a target to get your feedback.
Yeah. Okay, I got about a minute left, Mark. How much does it cost?
A normal game costs anywhere from $3 to $6. It depends on what time of the day
per person. I mean, break it down for me here.
Per person, if you're going to play one game, it's going to cost you anywhere from $3 to $6 for one person.
For 5 balls?
No, this is for 20 balls.
Oh, okay.
For 20 balls.
20 balls each.
It's 20 balls. We're half price on Mondays, and then after your third game, all games are $2 after that.
Really?
Yeah. So it's and we'll find that we get a lot of people that will stay that haven't done this before, and they'll stay 4 or 5 hours, and they'll hit 200 golf balls.
And so the problems that you had last winter that I heard about from some of our listeners and readers, where because of the snow cover, your readers had problems working, or what was the problem? You had problem keeping the greens clean, or what?
We had too much snow, Phil. That was the problem. But no, we had a problem with snow getting into our readers, but we think we've got that solved, so next winter we'll be fine. But hopefully we'll be very busy before we even get to the winter and have to worry about that.
Sure. Mark Castor, thanks. It sounds like an interesting idea. Where is it again?
Okay, it's right next to the Salt Creek Golf Club, 699 West Thorndale. And it is, the phone number is 630-595-4653. And it is open from 8 until midnight.
Okay. Hey, thanks for your time this morning.
Okay, thank you, Phil.
Okay, Mark. Sounds like an interesting place. It's called Topgolf. I'm sitting here looking at the screen, the computer screen in front of me, and that's what it looks like. It looks like instead of shooting at a green with a flag in the middle of it, a target green, it looks like you're shooting at a kind of a dartboard. There's a bunch of little divisions, and the closer you get to the middle, there's rings, and so the closer you get to the middle, I'm sure the points go up and everything. Interesting concept, Topgolf. There's only 3 of them in the country. It's something brand new. 6:46 in Chicago. This is The Score, Sports Radio 670. Wow. Sly and the Family Stone coming up on 6:52 on a Saturday to kick off Memorial Day weekend. That's what we need here. Here at the Kosin compound up in the back left tower where we have our broadcast facilities. I need an echo machine. Can you, Dave White, can you look in the Score budget and see if they have any money for that?
I'm sure they do. All I have to do is just send out a request to Mitch. That'll be no problem. Sure. We'll have it next week, I'm sure.
Now, being a big NASCAR fan, and you sit there through all those truck commercials, I know that you have been actively working on your truck commercial announcer, your truck truck voiceover announcer's voice.
Right, and it helps that I've got a little bit of a cold, too. So here goes. There's a built Ford tough.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think you're getting there. Yeah. I mean, there is no way they're going to have a woman do a voiceover on those commercials. And I watched those, where are they, Toyota commercials? That, if you want to see them, just take a look at any NASCAR auto racing or look at the Speed Channel. There's no way I believe all those, what would you call them, test scenarios that they set up, where like that, they had that one where they built that ramp out along what looks like the edge of the Grand Canyon, and they found some moron. They want us to believe they found some moron that's going to drive a Toyota truck like 90 miles an hour through a set of closing doors just to make it, and then slam on the brakes and end up on the ramp over the canyon, the steep drop, and stop 2 feet short. You really think that happens?
Stops about an inch short, yeah. And we don't.
Does that happen?
And they go, we don't recommend you doing this. Like, oh, thanks.
You know how they have the little, you know how they have the little exciter light on a TV to show you that it's on?
Yeah.
This is inside broadcasting for you folks. The little red light on a radio that shows you that you have FM stereo, they call that an exciter lamp. Don't ask me why. It's kind of a cool name. And we could go into more on that, but I'm not going to, because I try to keep this a family-oriented show. But maybe they ought to have a button on TVs now that lights up when we're doing real life, you know, and it would go off during those commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll do anything to sell you stuff. Then they have that other one. It's what is it? I think maybe it's the Ford truck commercial that you're trying to emulate, where they hook the truck up to that rotating. It looks like it might have at one time, if it's real at all, it might have been a centrifugal force, one of those those things that they put the guys in when they're going to learn how to go to space, and they put them under like 800 Gs, right. And their skin, pulls back off their face, to where their ears touch at the back of their head. Yeah. That one has got chains, and then it's supposed to show you what a great frame. They swing the truck by the two pull hooks underneath the bumper.
Right, and then the guy who's talking is just standing right beside it calmly and everything, like nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, but he's doing more of those commercials. That's the guy from that Dirty Jobs program, which is actually pretty disgusting but pretty entertaining.
That is very entertaining. I love that show.
Yeah. And as we wrap up this segment and we take a break on the Chicagoland Golf Show, we're off the track today. But you know what? It's a holiday weekend, and I don't care. We're going to talk golf for the last hour. Trust me, I will get it back on track. This week, did you have a chance? Now, we will talk sports, but we're going to go away from golf for a second. Did you have what's that new show? It looks like an indie filmmaker has sold a show to Comcast or something. It's called
Playing for Peanuts.
Playing for Peanuts.
I've been taping that. Yeah, it's very, very good.
Oh, see, now I was going to say I thought it was awful.
You thought it's awful?
Well, trust me, I've covered baseball.
Yeah.
And it's just because you have a half hour, you go out and take. It's like YouTube. Do I really care to watch these guys shoot off fireworks? It's not exactly going to get it's not exactly going to get a big award as a documentary, which is the way it's kind of set up, Yeah,
but on the other hand, it's kind of nice to see how these kids who are just playing for the love of the game. They're not making any money at all, and they're probably never going to be Major League Baseball players. They're just going to play the game as long as they can, and make as much money as they can during the time that they're playing. And it's kind of nice. I mean, yeah, this is what they do to fill their time, but for crying out loud, they're in Albany, Georgia. There's not.
Yes, but what's the purpose? I mean, am I supposed to have empathy for these people? Well, of course, people are going to watch that Ozzy whatever it is show and some of these other reality shows, which is what this guy's trying to do. Well, you know what? Are you going to buy the DVD for $9.99? It's got the deleted scenes. I don't even want to think about watching those deleted scenes from what I watched. I taped it, but I have no plans of watching it a second time. It's not interesting. It's just, it's like, it's like watching a webcam of a bank lobby or something like that. I mean, there's things going on, but you know what I'm saying? Well, but it doesn't interest me. I can't get involved with any of it because it's done by somebody that really doesn't understand baseball. And I covered professional baseball, sat in the dugout, did the whole thing for 9 years. And, so, you know what? Did you call Len Ziem and make sure he's awake?
I'm going to do that during the break here. We're way late.
Okay, do that. We'll take a couple commercials. It's a holiday weekend here on The Score. Happy Memorial Day. No, it's not Happy Memorial Day. Thanks to all of our troops and our armed forces all over the globe, past and present, for protecting our freedom. This is your weekend, and I salute you. We'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side with Len Ziem of the Chicago Sun-Times. You know those interviews with Lenny are always fun. This is CBS Radio in Chicago, The Score, Sports Radio 670.
Let's get back to Phil Kosin and Chicagoland Golf on 670, The Score.
Yeah, one of the good things to do on a Saturday morning to get your hands loosened up so that you can choke over those putts is to play air guitar to this. 7:03 on a Saturday morning on The Score, Sports Radio 670. During the first hour of the program, we covered the fake laugh. And now we go to the second half of the program where we will cover the fake cackle. Oh, he must not be there. Is Len Ziem up?
I'm right there. Oh, the fake
I was waiting
cackle.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, I don't know if you listened to any of the show, because I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah, no.
I was talking about how important it is that if you're going to go into broadcasting, and I have to work on this the whole month of March, because I was off during the winter, I have to work on my fake laugh,
You've done it well.
And you have to practice talking while you laugh too, So anyway, so you are now the golf course hot dog critic for the Chicago Sun-Times sports department, right?
Well, just a hot dog, I think. Just a hot dog. We're back in away from the hockey. Although I did have hockey last night. Watched the Chicago Wolves march into the Calder Cup Finals in the American League. So I'm still wearing more than one hat, but golf, of course, is numero uno.
We have a holiday weekend, and then starting Monday, Memorial Day, we have a golf tournament, or at least festivities leading up to a golf tournament, the Bank of America Open at the Glen Club.
One of my favorite events of the year, even though it's got a new name now.
Why is it one of your favorite events of the year, Len Ziem?
Well, that's the nationwide tour there are a lot of fun guys there. It seems it's easy to watch the tournament. You can really get on the course and have fun with it. It's a little more of a low key thing. I think it's a kind of a well kept secret among Chicago golfers. I mean, the crowds have gotten a little bit bigger each year, but they really aren't very big. But it's great golf. I mean, the golf is just cut below the PGA Tour. They just don't have the big name stars of the Tigers and the Phils and all that. But it's good viewing. I always kind of, especially the dates where it comes in. It's usually right the first or second of the events that are significant in Chicago golf. And this time it's the only Pro Tour stop of the year. So we've got to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's, as a golf writer, and I've been doing this for a long time, so have you.
Oh, long time. Too long.
Did you have your Metamucil yet this morning? No, just kidding.
That's what I'm feeling.
Because I'm sipping mine right now. It's out of a Score logo mug, so it's okay. We really have to, not that we don't work hard, of course.
You have practiced.
That's not a fake laugh. No, that's not a fake laugh. Not that we don't work hard, but this year, I'm really having to grind to figure out stuff to write about. I mean, from a local aspect, because so much of what we did with Chicagoland Golf in the past was previews and coverage leading up to all these events. And this year, after this week, we're done. I mean, okay, the Illinois Open, okay, for whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a big event in the state, but unfortunately, it really doesn't captivate much of the Chicago area. It plays to a certain very small crowd.
Yeah, that's true. That one and the Illinois, all the Illinois. There's just basically after this week, there's just the Illinois, the qualifying for the U.S. Open on the Monday after this tournament ends, and then the Illinois Open and the Illinois PGA Championships locally. That's the biggest stuff, other than perhaps the Illinois Amateur that remains. But it's not like previous years where you always had the PGA Tour stop to look forward to. This is, I think, the first time in 46 years that the PGA Tour hasn't visited Chicago. It's a weird summer. It's going to be a weird summer for golf from that standpoint. But there's usually plenty of things that surface that you can, develop and cover. But it's certainly different. That's why this week you've got to enjoy the Bank of America Open.
Well, comparing what you do with the Sun Times and what we're doing, we have a hell of a lot more space to fill. we have a niche publication.
Sure,
that's
right.
The good part of it,
right.
It's just that this year it's going to be a little more difficult. Okay.
And no new course openings either. That throws a monkey wrench into things. So, well, I'm sure there's going to be something that surfaces though.
I'm sure. Well, either that or, you know what, and you've been so good at this over the years, making up quotes and everything, you'll create a controversy. There's that cackle.
There we go.
Okay, Bank of America Open, you have Colt Knost coming in.
Mm-hmm.
A significant, a week from today will be Gary Hallberg's 50th birthday, and I believe he'll be the first homegrown Chicago player to get on the Champions Tour. Other than, Terry Carlson and maybe one or two other guys that, I think Terry Carlson and Gary Groh played for a year.
Gary Groh, yeah. They earned their privileges to play there, but even they hardly really didn't feel like. I don't think they feel like they got a chance. I mean, they were out there for a little while, and one season kind of thing, and they both had club jobs too. So, I think Gary Hallberg will be the real thing out there. I don't know how well Gary will do because his playing career has been. A little limited the last few years, but I'm sure he'll enjoy giving it a shot.
Well, we had him on the show last week. He was nice enough, and I try to explain to people. They say, "Why don't you have more tour players on?" Well, I'd love to, but first of all, I like to do live radio, and it's just. A lot of them get in their zone. They have their plan when they're going to play on a Saturday. Most of them are playing on Saturdays, and that's it. That's the end of it, And if they're home for the weekend, it's hard to ask those guys to get up early when they have a chance to sleep in their own bed.
Oh yeah, well, that's Saturday. Saturday should be a work day for every one of them. Should be. I mean, sometimes they'll take days off. Sometimes they'll miss the cut, but no, Saturday would be a tough time to just have a chat with most any of them. Unless you're on the scene.
Yeah, we talked to Gary as he was driving to the golf course to the event last week,
mm-hmm.
and as many times as I've talked to him over the years, he really sounds upbeat. I mean, it's like sometimes everybody gets hopefully in their life at some point after maybe a rough period they get to turn a page,
right? And
I feel like that's the way Gary is approaching his 50th birthday and a chance to go play on the Champions Tour. I felt like he sounded like he was getting ready to turn a page, and he was really upbeat. He sounded really excited about it, and he really sounded excited about having all this happen back here in Chicago.
Yeah, that should be nice. That should be a nice thing for Gary. I think the feeling of turning a page is pretty commonplace for golfers of his ilk on the pro tour level. I think they're more and more. Most every one of them is now looking forward to getting to that 50th birthday rather than dreading getting another year older, because that Champions Tour has really hung on. It seemed like a lark when it first started, and
But it's just unfortunate it doesn't play in Chicago anymore. I hope that someday it'll return. But because I think that the Champions Tour has a lot to offer. I enjoy watching it.
Do you think there's too much golf? In other words, and also as a result, the second part of that would be there aren't enough quality title sponsors to go around. Now, we're already hearing, and I've written about it on my blog at ChicagolandGolf.com, about the tour events that may go away or are desperately looking. Pods, the event in Tampa Bay is looking for a title sponsor.
Yeah.
Who else? Not the Colonial, the other one in Texas. The Ben Hogan. The Hogan. His event. Oh, no, the Byron Nelson. EDS.
Byron
they're going to back out of their contract 4 years early, and they're going to dump out too. And I suppose we're at a point in time where if corporations are coming up with the price tag to sponsor the average PGA Tour event, which is $7 million plus whatever you spend on corporate hospitality and schmoozing and everything. Mm-hmm. So let's say 7 plus 3, $10 million.
Well,
how do you tell your employees that I can't give you a raise or I have to lay you off when
when you're
serving
for
champagne in a fancy hospitality chalet to your customers?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Well, it's hard to do it. No question about it.
No, you're supposed to be able to do it because that's why I had you on this show. You're the expert.
Well, the answer, I guess, is that the impact golf has, both as a work tool and as a promotion tool, is still there. Now, whether these high purses can continue, that's another matter, because a lot of tournaments are in trouble. They have to all be aware of the economic climate of the times, and I think they will be. There's a number of people there's lots and lots of people who want to be involved in the sponsorship of golf tournaments. I mean, there's hardly, I don't think there's a company out there who wouldn't like to have their name on a tournament. The question is, can they afford it? And that's the $1 million question right now, because as you say, the PGA, it's filtered all the way to the PGA Tour, where the biggest purses are, and that's a big nut to crack. I think what we're going to see is what we've seen with the we'll see a lot of changing of titles, which kind of makes things a little bit, I think, confusing for golf, and which is such a traditional game. But I find it right now in all these stadiums that the baseball teams and the hockey teams and football teams, they all play in. The names, I don't know which one is which anymore half the time. I mean, it's the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Of course, it's now the United Center in Chicago. But these places, that now that they have corporate sponsor names on them, unless you're in that city, chances are you're going to have a hard time identifying the name that the stadium grew up with. So it's just a sign of the economic times. But as far as there being too much golf, I don't think so, because I think there's a lot of people watching. I mean, the Golf Channel coverage of these events has done wonders for golf. I mean, it's not, well, you can be critical of the announcers and stuff like that, but as you are, but
not me.
But I mean, I find myself watching it all the time, and I think it can be pretty addicting to get into it.
Yeah. I find, like, in the middle of an afternoon, like especially on a Thursday or Friday,
mm-hmm.
if I didn't get much sleep because I've been working on the website which is ChicagolandGolf.com.
Good website, gotta say.
Yeah, thank you. Have you seen ChicagolandGolf.com? No.
Many times.
No, but a lot of times I'll be up late. I work goofy hours. I like to write when it's quiet in the house and everything. A lot of times I'm looking for that afternoon nap, and you hit the recliner and put on the Golf Channel. I'm gone. All right, hang on. We're talking to Len Ziem, the Dean of Chicago Golf Writers at 716 in Chicago. Lenny, prepare for this when we come back. Attendance is down, I think, from what I'm seeing on TV. Crowds are down at tour events, mm-hmm. and so are TV numbers. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that when we come back. It's 716. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. I'm the greatest golf host on the Score, Phil Kosin. This is the Score, Sports Radio 670. Blues Bar in Mount Prospect, Chicago's newest sports bar and entertainment venue, invites all kids 12 and under to eat free with a paid adult. The offer is good all day, Sunday through Wednesday, and Thursday through Saturday before 4 p.m. For more information, visit blues-bar.com. Let Illinois Paper and Copier buy out your current lease and save you money with Ricoh or Konica Minolta Copiers. Call Christy, 630-679-9090. 7:25 on a Saturday morning, starting a 3-day holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day in Chicago, and great golf weather, and a great guest, an old friend who's been covering golf for the Chicago Sun-Times since the late 1930s. Len Ziem.
Bobby Jones was great to watch.
Sorry about all those spots, but we have to do that.
Got to pay the bills.
Well, we got to come up with your exorbitant guest fee. Checks in the mail. All right, 2 good fake laughs on a Saturday morning. All right, you watch what should be big tournaments. They were down. They're not going to say it, of course. And, let's go back to the Players' Championship for a second. They're not going to say it. But Tim Fincham should have got down and kissed Sergio right on his wallet. Because if Sergio doesn't win that thing, it looks like an old-timers game. It looks like an old-timers event from the Nationwide Tour.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's the Tiger. That's the downside of Tiger Mania, I think. When he's not there, the tournaments don't have the same, by any means, the same amount of interest in there. The crowds, if you see, I think they're really where they strike me as really so sparse as when you watch the big European events. I mean, it seems like there's nobody in the galleries there. And this last week, the last 2 PGA Tour stops didn't seem like they had particularly good crowds, except maybe on Sunday. But as you're right, you never see the numbers, so it's hard to tell. I think that what golf would be wise to do really is to and the Nationwide stop next week has always done it, is to offer some of these tournaments that are struggling with attendance to go real low with the ticket price and try to make the money back on concessions and souvenirs and stuff like that. The pro sports teams have gone in that vein for years and years, the ones that struggle, and I think golf maybe ought to pay attention to that. I mean, the ticket to the Nationwide event is hardly anything. So it's something that should maybe even filter to some of these PGA Tour stops. Ticket giveaways, do 2-for-1s. I mean, it's marketing that golf hasn't really ever done, but at least not in recent years. But it's something to consider now because they need to have the atmosphere has to be good. That's a very important thing, that the atmosphere is right at the tournaments, that you hear the crowds cheer, that it's not just a like the Illinois PGA Match Play Championship was this week. It was real good golf, but there was hardly anybody there, so it didn't create quite the same kind of excitement that it should. But anyway, galleries are good. The bigger the better.
Well, it seemed like, from what I heard, it seemed like they didn't do real well with the $100 a day walk-up tickets at the Players' Championship. And no, I'm serious.
No, they sure didn't. Is that what they were?
And yeah,
$100
a day.
That figure. That's ridiculous.
Hey, look, they got to pay for that clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
And that trophy, it was so funny because they'd show the trophy on TV and somebody say, "There's that beautiful trophy." It looked like a crystal model of a gas pump. But anyway, I'm on my game today.
You are.
I looked, and usually that whole hillside, that whole area around the 17th hole is just jammed with people, and not once when I watched was it that way, as it has been in the past. Now, you talk about ticket prices. We have 2 opportunities if you want to drive and spend, by that time, $5 a gallon for gas.
Yeah.
You could go to, I'm thinking professional golf. Here's where I'm going with this. Thinking maybe professional golf, and then we'll take a break in a minute because, like I said, exorbitant guest fees have to be paid. they're going to have to do something because they're going to price themselves out of the market. And I'll give you an example. You have two events that people in Chicago that do want to see tour players this year, two big events that they could drive to. You got the PGA Championship in August over at Oakland Hills in Detroit, near Jack Barry's house. And down in St. Louis, you've got the BMW Championship. But I got to work through Friday. I would like to go to the event and buy tickets for Saturday and Sunday. Neither one of those events is making single-day tickets available.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. Right, absolutely, that's a mistake. You could also drive and go to see the John Deere Classic and the U.S. Bank Championship in Milwaukee and the LPGA stop in Springfield. So so those are even closer.
Right, but I'm talking about Tiger and Phil and the boys, and they are not going to be in Milwaukee, and they're not going to be at John Deere. Let's take a break, Lenny. I'm up against a hard break here. It's 7:30. We got Len Ziem, the Dean of Chicago Golf Writers from the Chicago Sun-Times and Chicagoland Golf, on the line with us. We'll come back for another segment. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'm Phil Kosin. I'm the host and the ringmaster here. You're listening to CBS Radio in Chicago, 670 The Score. This segment on The Score is brought to you by the DQ Hot Dog of the Week. Win the Dairy Queen gift card. Log on to 670thescore.com for the DQ Hot Dog of the Week information. Kind of easing into this last segment. Len Ziem of the Chicago Sun-Times, Chicagoland Golf is with us. He's been covering, he actually caddied for Bobby Jones in a junior event. Okay, all right, here we were talking about it, and then I want to talk about the Solheim Cup, because something happened in the last 2 weeks that I think greatly, well, let's talk about that now. And then we could talk about this whole ticket price thing, because, and I could tie this in, because I got on my blog, I wrote about this, and then some lady came back and told me that, and I looked it up, first of all, I think it's going to hurt the Solheim Cup here next year with Annika retiring.
No doubt.
Joanne Miller from our office, I'm having her, she's kind of like our point person on this whole event. I had her call Rich Harvest Links, and nobody in the tournament office, of course, would comment. They referred our calls to the LPGA Tour Communications Office. And here's the stance they took when we asked the question, how is this going to affect the Solheim Cup for next year? And they said, well, and it's what I call the half-full glass, half-empty glass approach. Well, even though Annika hasn't said she's going to play next year in it, she hasn't said she won't. See, that to me, that's like wishful thinking, because Annika could be 3 months pregnant by the time that thing comes around in August of 2009. So here's my proposal. Instead of having open up the European team to the rest of the world. Because right now you've got Annika leaving the LPGA Tour. They're running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, wondering if they can find somebody to challenge Lorena Ochoa for the next 10 years. Because it's not good to have a one-person show, as we can look at the PGA Tour and find out, okay? So, as far as I'm concerned, when someone says I'm retiring, at this point we got to assume she's going to retire. If you look at what that leaves on the European Solheim Cup team for next year, Lenny, name 3 names that played the last European, other than Annika, that played on the last European Solheim Cup team. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
So how do you market this event? Last week I had Mike Kern on, Mike. Mm-hmm. And the thing that they're dealing with over in the Philadelphia area is, now that Annika suddenly announces this retirement, they've got the Women's U.S. Open next year at Saucon Valley, which is, I think, as an aside, where our friend Bill Sheehan won the U.S. Senior Open a few years ago. But anyway, they don't have Annika. Now, okay, at least they can sell tickets and use Lorena Ochoa, as their marketing tool. Because let's face it, we're talking business here. This is entertainment. It's big stuff. But all over their marketing stuff for next year for the Women's U.S. Open, all you have is Annika's picture all over everything. And she says she won't be there. Now, why not take a look at the Solheim Cup and say, okay, in order to make this more attractive to marketing, for Jerry Rich and the people at Rich Harvest Links, for the future of the event, because women's golf, more so than men, has become so global, why not include the rest of the world? Or, like someone else suggested in my blog, one of the comments came from a guy, why not have North America versus the rest of the world? And that way Ochoa could play with the American team, and then you can bring all of those talented Asian players in. At least make it entertaining. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think that Annika's absence is going to definitely take an edge off of that event. I mean, there's always players that step in and emerge, and you still have a good competition. The competition side of it, I'm sure, will be fine. But the thing with the LPGA that's different, very different from the PGA Tour right now, it really strikes me as the huge influx of the Korean players. Now, it would seem at this point in time that rather than play Europe, they would have a better competition playing against Korea or something like that. A world team would be a good idea. However, this event started as the U.S. against the Europeans. It was supposed to be patterned after the Ryder Cup. And the world team would be more like a President's Cup thing. But there's no reason that the women's tour has to always copy what the men's tour does. I think they should have a little more, be a little more innovative. I don't see why it couldn't be a team competition is a team competition, and the Solheim Cup is a relatively new event. I mean, it's tradition. It can be changed. There's no reason it couldn't be the U.S. against the world, or the U.S. against Korea, or the U.S. against Europe. I mean, it could take on all kinds of different twists. The Annika thing is, I mean, it's a blow to the event right now because she was the player you'd come to watch over there. But I think that come next year, there'll be some other players emerge with her sitting out. I don't expect her to play. I think that's not a good stance to take. That though she hasn't said she won't play. I don't buy that kind of thinking. If she says she's retiring, she's retiring. Now, admittedly, Nancy Lopez would come back and play a tournament here and there, but you don't just come back to play the Solheim Cup. So figure out Annika not being there. That's what everyone's got to figure out, her not being there, and then find a way to get around that.
Yes. Now, but the reason I suggest this, and you made a good point, you said, well, like the rest of the world is a president. But the PGA, but see, they can sell two events, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, every year, see? Yeah. And they created the rest of the world thing because of all the talented players from South Africa, really, which is and Australia, New Zealand, things like that. That I understand, okay? That I understand. The women's golf has not come to the point where they can support two events. They're trying to keep one afloat.
Right.
Let's be honest about it. And
so that's a good reason to make it the U.S. against the world. That's a good reason.
There has been a precedent set. In 1979, as we can all remember, the Ryder Cup was nothing. It was a biannual drubbing of a bunch of European players by the U.S. It wasn't even entertaining. It wasn't a TV event. It was nothing. And what really sparked the Ryder Cup was when it went from the other side, those guys, picking a team from Great Britain and Ireland, which is originally what it was, like the Walker Cup. It was, they opened it up to all of Europe for one reason, to get Seve Ballesteros in. That changed the whole picture. And then Jose Maria Olazabal changed the whole picture of the Ryder Cup. Now we're trying to figure out what we can do to even be competitive in a Ryder Cup, because we haven't been the last couple years. So why not nip it in the bud? God, I hate that. Why not nip it in the bud and go ahead and, I mean, like you said, the Solheim Cup, there isn't that much tradition there. I mean, it's a relatively new event, and it needs to be flexible. It needs to adapt to the times and what we have in golf today. And golf, women's golf, more so than the men, is a totally global game. And so why not open up that other team and change things and allow some, like you said, the South Korean players in, the Japanese players if they qualify for the team, whoever. it would be a much more, I think it would be a much more saleable event, although we do have a problem with some of the South Korean players because the LPGA Tour still hasn't reacted and made translators available. And so there's a language barrier with those players that's causing a problem because as they continue to become more and more of a factor on the LPGA Tour, they're not going to get the publicity because it's not easy to talk to them, the community. And then how many times did we go to tournaments in the past? This is what used to grind me. You'd go to a major and they always would bring in Jumbo Ozaki. So he would talk with a translator to the English writers as soon as he got finished with his round, if we needed to talk to him. So he would say something like, 30 seconds of Japanese, and then the translator would say, he really enjoyed the golf course today, and he said he felt like he had a good swing. Is that what he really said? It took him 30 seconds to say that. Then what used to kill me, though, is he'd walk over and speak in Japanese to the big contingent of Japanese writers, and he'd be talking, and they'd be laughing and writing stuff down. I'm thinking, what are we missing here? So, all right, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I tell you, that's a really a huge problem right now with the LPGA for sure. See with the Korean crowd there, because they're all, you look at the leaderboards and they're all over the leaderboards, and you don't know the stories of any of those players. I don't know the story of any of those players except maybe Se-Ri Pak. And that's knowing the players is knowing something about the players, knowing something to hang your hat on for these players is part of marketing. It's a marketing effort. No, it's absolutely right. It's not just translators. I mean, I think these players have to, if they're going to be world athletes, they have to be much better in their language and the self-promotional skills as well. I mean, it's not just the tour doing the job. I mean, we've seen this in the hockey world that I cover also here now. There's not translators there to speak of, but the players are all bilingual, and when they come over here, they know how to speak English as well as you and me, most of them. So that's a problem. That's a transition that the LPGA has got to face up to. I think that's more of a, really, to tell you the truth, I think that's more of an important issue than the direction of the Solheim Cup. Although that the Solheim Cup, I agree with you completely. They need to take a flexible look at that one. That maybe their team selection aspect of it needs some tweaking.
Well, yeah, the reason I brought it up is it's a factor here because it's here next year. Mm-hmm. And, we all want Jerry Rich's event. I mean, let's face it, the golf course, he designed it. It's his baby. This is his event. I want it to go well for the guy.
Absolutely.
If for no other reason, it's a Chicago event,
Right. Well, I want it to go well, too. And I think it's going to go well. I really do. I think that it's going to be something new and novel, and I think the promotional effort is being made for that event. I mean, a big effort's being made both by Jerry and by the LPGA, because this is one of the three events that the LPGA Tour actually owns. So I think we'll see a good event, but it's an event that really at this point does need some tweaking. I mean, every event does to some degree, but this one, it seems the Annika thing kind of brought everything into focus in a hurry there. That changed the whole look of it.
Yeah, and I'll close by just saying this because I'm out of time. These people need to learn that it's not our job to sell tickets for them or market their product.
That's right.
That is not part of what we do as golf writers. Okay, Lenny, thanks. Have a nice weekend, and let's have some fun at the Glen Club.
Yep, I'll catch you down the road. That'll be fun. It'll be a good week ahead.
All right, bud.
Okay.
Len Ziem, the Dean of Chicago Golf Writers from the Chicago Sun-Times and Chicagoland Golf. It's 7:49 in Chicago. It's a holiday weekend on the Score Sports Radio 670. This segment on the Score is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealer. Every day is a great day for a Hyundai. And also by Concrete Contractors Association of Greater Chicago. Hey, if you're near a phone, fifth caller, 312-644-6767. Gets a Straka.com hat. Pretty cool, huh? A holiday weekend. Be safe. We're out of time. What a great show. Thanks to my guests. Rick Reed from Blackthorn over in South Bend. and his free gas promotion. Mark Castor, the general manager of Topgolf in Wooddale, and Len Ziem of the Chicago Sun-Times and Chicagoland Golf. Be safe this weekend, everybody, huh? Don't eat too much. Yeah, go ahead and eat. Eat like pigs. That's what we're going to do. Barbecue. Have fun. Until next time, I'll just say I'm Phil Kosin. And this has been a Pull My Finger production.
Let's misbehave when Adam won Eve's hand.
Thanks for tuning in to Chicagoland Golf with Phil Kosin on every Saturday from 6 to 8 a.m. on WSCR 670. The Score.